Hi, and welcome to Intrepid Wisdom. My name is Deborah J. And on today's episode, we have Penelope Marshall Silver. Penelope is an accredited award-winning law of attraction coach, a Reiki Master teacher, advanced EFT practitioner, meditation teacher, and manifesting queen. She's a single mom to two beautiful teenage girls, an essential oils addict, loves yoga, red wine, and believes in all things balance. After a dramatic sequence of serendipitous events, lots of ups and downs and drama, she transformed her life from riches to rags, back to riches again, and has created her dream business, where she now helps women to realign their chakras to manifest a soul-aligned, beautiful, abundant life that they deserve. You're so welcome, Penelope.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
So we connected because I was looking to do a couple of series on law of attraction and manifesting. It's a subject I really love, and it's a subject that I just want to share with everybody. And there's lots of different angles that we can come at it, but I suppose really we all come at it from our own mess as our message, or we have to kind of start with that. So could you tell us a little bit about your journey? Because your journey has been, like, when you shared this with me, it's so inspirational. So I'd love you to share that with our listeners.
Sure. So my journey isn't rags to riches. It's like you said, riches to rags and back up again. So I lived when I was married an incredibly insane lifestyle. It was private jets, big motor yachts, multi-million-pound house. We had the Range Rovers, the Jags, the Aston Martins, all that kind of thing. And it was the unhappiest I have ever been in my life. I was totally in love with him. He was my soulmate and love of my life, and things changed when the babies came along, basically. And we kind of went in different directions, and unfortunately it meant that the energy within the marriage became very toxic. And it all culminated one night in me leaving in the middle of the night with just the babies in our pajamas, and I never went back, and went on benefits. It took me a few months to actually be able to claim benefits. They wanted blood from me, which was perfectly understandable coming from the sort of lifestyle that I'd had. My wedding dress was at my parents' house, so I sold that on eBay to a lady in Italy, and I got the deposit for my rental home. So we had a house which was riddled with damp. It was freezing cold, and like when you sat in the lounge, I didn't have any furniture. So the first night we moved in, we literally sat on the floor, and I have to tell you, it was the happiest I've ever been in my life. I remember sitting there feeling so grateful for that roof over our heads. And in winter, the wind used to literally howl through the front of the house because there was no insulation. But me and the girls were really happy there. And the other thing that was really important was I felt safe there. So during that time, a whole load of things happened. I wasn't working at the time because I had two tiny babies. I was in a really bad mess as well. So, mentally I wasn't in, or emotionally, physically, I wasn't in a great place either. Started drinking. So the co-op used to do this offer where it was 3 bottles of Blossom Hill for £10. So that was my thing. And I have to tell you, it got me through. That was my coping mechanism at the time. Then there was stages where I didn't have any money. My lowest point was going next door and begging the next door neighbours for their leftover food so I could feed the girls. I had no car. The car had been taken off me. And so I'd got a double buggy off, I don't know where it was from. I think it was maybe from a charity shop or maybe Women's Aid or something like that. I'd got it for me. I can't remember. I used to, at this stage, Charlotte was, my eldest, was going to school, and I was walking them in a double buggy every day, and it was like an hour there, an hour back, so like 4 hours a day. But I'm a bit like Pollyanna. So have you watched the film Pollyanna? No. All right. Okay. So Pollyanna her parents were missionaries and they'd both died, and she got to go and live with her aunt, who was very, very wealthy. And the aunt basically ran the whole of the town. She owned it and she ran it, and everybody was quite fearful of her. Pollyanna turns up with this super, like, I'm talking like on steroid kind of positive mindset. She had this game that she played called the Glad game. And every time she was sad or something, wasn't going right in her life, she used to think of all the things that she was glad for. It's a bit how we practice gratitude nowadays. And we know in terms of law of attraction that when you're grateful for something, the law of attraction, the universe brings you more things to be grateful for. So this was me. I'm basically in the gutter. But whilst I'm in the gutter, I'm looking up and I'm looking at the stars and I'm thinking, how beautiful does that look? And the other thing that I realized while I was lying there as well was that once you're at that position, the only place you can go is up. So I knew that things were going to get better. I just had to keep going. I knew that at some point I'd start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So the other bonus of walking 4 hours a day was I was like super slim. So I was feeling good. I was getting loads of exercise, loads of fresh air. So I started to stop the drinking, and I started to take better care of myself, to nourish my body more in terms of, the walking and that kind of thing and the fresh air. And in turn, that brought other things to me as well. So one of the first things that I found was Reiki. Well, no, that's not true. So I was in counselling for 2.5 years at the hospital, and that left me feeling really frustrated and stuck. And I know that it works for some people. I'm not taking that away from people, but for me personally, it didn't. Every Friday morning at 9 o'clock, I had to rehash the story of what happened the night I left. And I was like, I acknowledge that on one point it must have worked on some level, because I got to the point where I thought, I don't want to tell this story anymore. I get that. But for me, it wasn't a pleasant experience. So anyway, in fact, I've told this story wrong, but so I'll go back. So I had the EFT because I had all this anxiety. I was like having panic attacks. I was shaking violently, that kind of thing. EFT was emotional freedom technique, or tapping was transformational for me. It literally, within a couple of sessions, it got me out of that mindset. Those emotions that I'd attached to the situation that had gone on had just dissolved. And I was gobsmacked. Then I found Reiki. So I had this nervous, churning, sicky feeling in my tummy. Went for some sessions of Reiki. That went as well. Then I got into meditation, and within 2 weeks of me starting meditating, I was signed off by the counsellor, and she said she couldn't believe the change in me, and I had a much more positive outlook in life. I had direction and clarity and focus, and that's when things really, really started to take off for me. Like literally out of nowhere, a girl who was 2 years ahead of me at school, who I didn't really know that well, phoned me up totally out of the blue and offered me a job. And it wasn't a job I'd ever done before. And it was like events manager for this big restaurant chain. And I was like, I have never done this before. And she's like, I just know you can do it. And I did it. And so my life started to take off. And I was able to do nice things like buy the kids clothes and go on holidays and things like that. So yes, I've gone from having everything and to completely rebuilding my life. So I then, after I did the event management job, I started my own business. It was a social media agency business, and I really, really enjoyed it. But if I was perfectly honest with you, I couldn't keep up with the changes that was going on in social media. And it was literally, it got to the point where I was feeling really overwhelmed with it. And I was like mindful that if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm going to be creating more overwhelming situations to come. So I stopped and I said, right, I'm not going to do this anymore. I signed up with a job agency, and they offered me a part-time job, and it was as a project manager for L'Oreal, like in installing marketing displays and stuff. So I went and did that, and basically I got offered the full-time job. So I became a project manager, and I did that for years. And the hours were really, really long. And as a single mum raising 2 little girls, you know, I found myself again coming back into this old sort of pattern of working crazy hours, like 18-20 hour days, like because the installations would be during the night or whatever, and then I'd have to do my work during the day. And I was living, no, I was achieving stuff, but I wasn't living. And I was really mindful of that. And I'll tell you. So when I was working there is a point to this very long story. I'll tell you. Just tell me if I'm boring you.
No,
But
I'm loving it.
while I was in this role of this project manager, the company launched this competition, and the winners, there was 10 places available, and it was on this course called the Leaders of the Future, like management training course. And I was like, I knew instantly, I was like, this is it. This is the thing that's going to get me on the next rung of the career ladder. Because I was always living in this sort of doing energy, you sort of solar plexus energy. And I was like, this is it. And I was always in competition with other people as well. And even in competition with myself, this is what I need to do to get to the next stage. And I won one of the places. And basically, one of the first things we had to do was they got us to do this like a psychometric test thing. And I answered all these questions. And basically, the outcome of it was that I was in the wrong job and that I should be a healer. And this company that I work for had spent thousands putting me on this course. So I get my piece of paper. My manager's sat near me, and I'm sliding it across the table, trying to hide it from her, because I thought, oh my God, I know I'm in the wrong job. She knows I'm in the wrong job. This is not a good situation to be in. So anyway, I ignored the sign basically, and carried on working as I was. And then I got another job, and I was an international project manager, and I thought that the hours would be better, that kind of thing. It wasn't. It was just that I'd just shifted basically into a similar role. And I'd been in that role for about 8 months. And one night I'd gone out. Well, I wasn't supposed to be out. I'd gone on Tinder trying to meet somebody, because I thought, how do I meet somebody when I'm working all these hours? So this is where you're not letting something come to you. You're trying to force something. So I'd met this guy, and we were going out for dinner, and I'd done the whole thing in the morning, fake tan, the eyelashes, I'd done my nails, I'd done my hair, like I bleached my teeth, I'd got a new outfit, all this kind of stuff. And an hour before we were going out, he phoned me and he said, I can't go. And I was like, and he basically cancelled on me, and I was like, oh my God. So I phoned my best friend. And she said, Penny, you are not staying in. All you do is work. She's like, come out for dinner with me and my friend Diane. So it cut a long story short, I went for dinner. I didn't want to go. And we were sat there. None of us were drinking, and we were putting the world to rights, and, you know, basically telling each other what we thought of men and all this kind of thing. And my friend said, oh, I'm just going to go to the toilet. And she went upstairs, and a few minutes later, another lady came down and said, you need to get upstairs, your friend's ill, we've called an ambulance. And basically she passed away. And that was a set of a chain of events. I shouldn't have been there. This is where I say these serendipitous events, and it's going right through me now. And it completely changed the trajectory of my life, because I started to realize about the fact of the way I was working was not creating an abundant life for me. It was sapping all my energy. I wasn't able to be there to be a great mum for my kids. You know, I wanted to do things like pick them up from the school playground at the normal time, or, you know, go to parents' evening or a play or something like that. Or my daughter's quite poorly. She's been through a series of heart operations, you know, to be able to go to appointments with her for things like that. So that was the first big thing. And so I'm already on this path thinking, I need to change my life. Life is too short. And I'm still really not, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not doing anything about it. And then I got made redundant like the month before Christmas, and it just floored me. I sat and I cried for 2 weeks, drank a lot of gin. And then I started to come round and feel a bit brighter. And I thought, right, Penny, what are you doing with your life? Like, it's like you're going round in circles. This, like, you've been here like 10 years ago when you left your ex. How's this happening again now? And I just decided something had to fundamentally change. So I started looking at my life, and I came across something called Ikigai, which is life purpose. So for those of you who don't know about Ikigai, it's basically 4 Venn diagrams, and in a Venn diagram with 4 circles overlapping. And in the top one, you write down all the things that you love in your life. And it's not just about business. It's literally, what do you love? And how often do we literally sit and think about that and focus our attention on what we love? I certainly wasn't doing half of it in my job, that was for sure. So then the next bit is what the world needs. So really think about what the world is needing at that time that maybe overlaps some of the things that you love. So we've got love, what the world needs, what I can be paid for. So think about all the jobs that you could do that you could be paid for, again, looking at where there's overlaps. And then the final one is skill set. And it just came back to, like, you know, I'd had that first message from the universe when I had the EFT, and I was like, I want to help women the way that I've been helped. And that was my driving factor. And so I was like, right, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to wait till I retire and then become a holistic healer. I'm going to do it now. So I did. So I had 3 months' wages to live off, and I set my business up. And kind of went from there. I've made loads of mistakes along the way. My first one that I'll tell you about, because this has been really, really powerful, a powerful message again in my business. So as a holistic healer, you want to give your gifts for free, because it's, you know, you feel it's something that's inherent within you. And, you know, I think a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs feel a bit icky, sort of charging. But as I've gone through, I'm coming up to the 4th birthday of my business now. And as I've come on this journey, I've started to learn that actually, when people pay you for something, it's an energy exchange. So my first thought was, people don't know me as a Reiki master. How are they going to come to me for treatments? They know me as a project manager or an events manager. So I had the bright idea of having, I had 100 vouchers printed off, and it was for a free Reiki session. And I went round and I spoke to all the people I gave the vouchers to. They were all really, really excited about it. I was excited about it. I thought, this is it. They're going to come for a treatment. And this is the start of my business, because they're going to love it so much, they're going to want to come back. Guess how many people took up the offer?
1.
None.
1. I know.
None.
Yeah.
So me being me, like this is just me. I went round and asked a few people why they didn't take the offer up, and they said because it was free, they didn't see the value in it.
It's so strange, because I've, in my own experience as well, because I've studied Reiki and hypnosis and acupressure and reflex, loads, all these different modalities. And when I first started as well, that's what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do these for free. No, it was like, you know, birds in the air. That's all I could hear. There was nothing happening. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So, but it's so true. But it's the reason why I'm telling you this part of the story as well is because, especially in terms of manifesting and law of attraction and chakras, which is my main thing. So my big thing is manifesting through the chakras. So bringing the chakras into alignment so that you can manifest much more easily and powerfully. And if you don't have that self-worth about yourself, you're gonna maybe get some sort of success with manifesting, but you'll never really manifest the big things that you want in life, because somewhere deep down you don't have that self-worth value, and that's really where you need to start. So then after that, my business started to grow. I mean, it actually, like, it did really well. I won 2 business awards. I won Outstanding Holistic Therapist of the Year, and then I won a special commendation for Best Health and Wellbeing Company, and it kind of grew from there. And what I have realized as well is that you need to tap into your feminine energy as well. So like that solar plexus energy I was talking about before, and when you're building your business, you are in that energy because you're so excited about it and you want to learn all the new stuff and learn how to like do social media and email marketing and this, that, and the other. But you also, it's really important to bring the balance in as well, where you just be. So that yang energy of doing and the yin and feminine energy of just being, it's really important that you do have that balance again for attracting what you want into your life. So fast forward a few years, I lost my place of business overnight, just totally out of the blue. So I had no business again for a month. I had on my vision board, I'd always wanted to, I have a dental background, and I'd always wanted to work in a medical setting. I think that was just because the way I'd been brought up and my university sort of years and things like that. And so I thought, right, okay, bright idea. Let's go knocking on all the doctors' doors. And I basically got laughed at I'm not kidding, laughed at in the face. But I carried on and I carried on and I carried on. So I've lost my place of business. And on my vision board is I want to work with world-class doctors, right? And then totally out of the blue, I get a phone call from this lady. In fact, that's not true. I phoned her and I said, do you know, I had like an inspirational hit, and I said, do you know anywhere that's got any rooms to rent? And she said, oh, well, actually, they're all doctors. She said, we've just bought the right-hand side of the building and we're going to turn it into a holistic center. Do you want to come and work here? And I was like, oh my God, this is like tick off my vision board. It was amazing. But even off the back of that, like opportunities have come. Like I went on the BBC with them and we filmed a documentary and things like that. So it's for me, it's about always having that Pollyanna attitude, even when you're in the thrutch of it, where everything feels like it's overwhelming and the whole world is against you and everything's happening, to you kind of thing. Just be grateful for where you are right now, what you have, and always know that there is something else out there. There always is.
And I feel that's one of the things with law of attraction or manifesting that I actually really love, because I personally feel like a lot of it does come from gratitude. And I went for a walk in the park the other day and I did a wee Facebook video because it just kind of a little download came into my head. And I was kind of saying how, we wallow so often and marinate so often in the really difficult things that we're doing, or like, difficult experiences or difficult relationships. And it's like we get angry and we're frustrated and we wallow and marinate in that. But how often do we wallow and marinate when things are really, really good and when really, really exciting things happen? And for me, I feel if we could harvest that feeling, like feel into your body, where does that feel like when you're really excited and something really cool is happening? Like if you can feel into your body and then recreate that in gratitude, like you were saying, you're aligning yourself with that energy and you're then attracting it to you. So for argument's sake, if you decided you wanted something tomorrow morning, completely different to anything that you've done before, what steps would you take to make that happen? So literally thought has come into your mind, that you want this thing. What's your process?
So I have 3 words that are like my magic words. I'll just tell you these first before I tell you my actual. I have a magical manifesting morning routine and an enchanting evening routine as well, which I do within my group. So my words for everything are desire, dedication, and trust. So desire, getting really clear on what it is that you want. So I laugh at myself because on my vision board right now, there is a Chanel logo and the word Chanel. Now, in my head, when I was putting that there, I was thinking, nice handbag or something like that. I got for my birthday a Chanel bag, a paper one with a lipstick in it. Now, I'm really grateful for that. I love the present, but it made me laugh because I thought, oh my God, you need to walk your own talk here and actually get really clear on what you're asking for. So really clear on what you're asking. You're like, I mean, really clear. You've got to have clarity on what it is that you want, and also ask for it. A lot of people don't ask. They have the idea and then they forget to actually ask the universe for it. Dedication. I am a firm believer that you can stick something on your vision board, but it ain't going to happen unless you take inspired action every single day in the direction of your dreams to make it happen. So even if it's, I don't know, committing to do meditation every day, you know, the actual manifesting process, or visualization or things like that, or committing to do your gratitude practice every day, that kind of thing. So that's the dedication part. I totally believe in consistency as well. And then the trust is, once you've asked for it, even though you're taking your inspired action, just give it over to the universe. Like, if you keep coming back to it and looking and checking on it, like, has it happened yet? That kind of thing. You're actually building resistance there, and it's going to push it away from you rather than bring it towards you. So my magical manifesting morning routine is always start with a cup of tea, because I love a cup of tea. And then I'll choose an essential oil for the day, depending on how I'm feeling. And then I ask myself, so I like to bring some mindfulness into it and bring myself back to the present. And I ask how I'm feeling right now. And it doesn't matter how you're feeling. If you're feeling sad, or you're frustrated, or you're angry, or you're really happy, you're feeling abundant, whatever it is all right. But it's just about checking in with no judgment as how you're feeling today. And then I ask myself, okay, so I'm feeling like that, but how do I want to feel today? So that's setting that intention of, actually, I may be feeling this now, but I want to be feeling energized or inspired or, you know, motivated, whatever it is. And then I sit down. No, I write down 3 to 5 goals that I'm going to commit to do today. So this is your inspired action. So it's definitely not spending 2 hours scrolling through social media. It's those, maybe even if it's just one step towards your dream. If you imagine that if you take even one step inspired action every single day, at the end of the year, you'll be 365 steps closer to your dream. You may have even got it, you know. And then I do an affirmation of the day. So that's one that I'll keep repeating during the day. And then I meditate. So I have a guided manifestation meditation, which I do every day. And that really gets you tapping into what you're thinking, what your goals are for the day, that kind of thing. And then in the evening, I sort of switch it up a little bit. So I think of 3 people that I want to forgive that day. Because that really clears your energy as well. You can even forgive yourself if you've sort of beaten yourself up about something you've done during the day. So for that, I either use Ho'oponopono meditation, or I visualize the person standing in front of me, and I say, I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me too. And then I imagine them saying the reverse to me. So that is like clearing that energy. Then I have my gratitude. So I think of 3 people from the day that I would like to thank. I think of 3 things that I've gratefully manifested that day. And you quite often find that there'll be more than 3 things once you get into this whole process. I ask what limiting beliefs came up for me today. And then I ask what I choose to believe instead. And then I do a meditation, which is the future self meditation. So again, another one I've recorded, where you imagine yourself 20 years from today, and you ask yourself what it is that you need to know to get you from where you are now to where you want to be in 20 years.
Wow. That's a lot of process. It sounds amazing though, in fairness. Like, if you get into the habit of, I think as well, it can sound overwhelming when you're not, when you either don't have structure, or if you don't have a routine of your own as well. But actually, when you start to build these things in, you can build them in quite quickly, and they become kind of second nature. I know for me, when I have my own affirmation that I just made up myself, but it resonates with me, and it resonates with my body, and my body feels, I can feel it as if it's in the present moment, and I feel like it's now. And what I find is, I've trained myself that anytime I have a free moment, I just start it off in my head. And in time of a free moment, I start it off in my head. So I'm kind of it's not that I'm not wasting time, but I'm repeating it over and over, because we program our minds so often with negative chatter. Why not program it with something that's productive, you know?
Absolutely. And I know it took me a while to tell you all those things that I do in my routine, but they actually only take 5 minutes to do. It's not long at all. Probably took me longer to read it all out than than it does to actually do it. But the thing that I'm absolutely, there is non-negotiable for me, is I meditate twice a day for between 15 and 20 minutes. Because it just has such a profound effect on my mental and emotional well-being. And I really do believe that when you quieten the mind and you become still, that's when you can open your energy up to attract all the things that you want.
Yeah, and that's something that I would do as well. Like meditation for me is I consider to be like spinning plates. Do you know, when you're meditating consistently and doing it all the time, it's like all your plates are spinning nicely and evenly. And as soon as, for me, I don't know about you, but for me, when I stop meditating, those plates get very, very wobbly. And then if I stop meditating for a period of time, the plates fall off and I have to kind of put them back on and start spinning again. But you mentioned as well in terms of chakras. So the different chakras, can you explain how you manifest through the chakras? Because, you know, everybody has their own way of manifesting and whatever works for them. But I find this quite interesting, the idea of manifesting through the chakras.
So the chakras relate to different sort of things. So imagine if your root chakra, which is the red chakra at the base of your spine, so it actually covers sort of around your hips, the base of your spine, and then down your legs to your feet as well. And that's your foundational chakra. So this is your stability, it's your home, it's money, it's work, family, friends, that kind of thing. And so I always like to start with that one, because if that is solid, you've then got a great foundation for the other chakras. I think it's easier to balance the other chakras once your root chakra is balanced. So we're in the Chakra Alignment Academy that I have. We look at things in terms of, you know, what are your stories around money and family and things like that? Do you have limiting beliefs? We look at what deficient energy looks like. We look at what overactive energy looks like. And then what we do is we try to bring them into balance. So I do that through guided meditations. Then we do EFT, talk about essential oils that you can use to do that. In fact, we did it in my manifesting challenge this week. It was one of the first ones we started with, and I did a guided meditation where I teach them to be like a tree and imagine roots coming out of the soles of their feet into Mother Earth, connecting them down and grounding them down. So we have that solid foundation. And you know, if you think about in terms of like what money blocks people grow up with, like, you know, you'd sort of taught money is the root of all evil, and I was taught, she hates me telling this story, but it's true. My poor mum. I love her to bits. She's my best friend. But when I was a kid, I grew up in a middle-class family, and we would drive around the area where we live now. And Jonathan, my brother, and I would be in the back, and Mum would have this automatic saying of every time a sports car drove past, she'd say, drug dealer, money launderer. Well, as a child, she wasn't saying it to me. It was just something that automatically came out of her mouth. And I couldn't understand for years why I could make money and then I'd lose it. Or, you know, just as things were going really, really well, something had come along to sort of take the floor from under you or things like that. And it was only as I've gone on to do this business that I do now, which is my absolute passion, that I've realized I had a fear of success. Like, who has a fear of success? You just would not think that. So then I delved a bit deeper into it, and I realized that my fear of success came not just from this one saying, but I realized that if I had money or I was successful, would my mum think that I was a drug dealer or a money launderer? Which actually meant, in a broader term, I was a bad person. Yeah. And in your mother's eyes, you want to be seen as good. So I'm going through this cycle of working my, I nearly swore then, working my ASS off all the time. I'm on this treadmill, and then it's gone. And then you start again and you do it again. And it's like, God, it's exhausting. So once I'd got rid of that limiting belief as well, I found that that was my foundation. I was starting to get more comfortable with money. So not feeling icky, going to the shops and thinking, I might want to buy myself a lipstick, or I might not want to buy the 40p loaf of bread. I might actually buy a £1 loaf of bread, this kind of thing. But we do this. I mean, like, I'm not going to lie, my favorite shop is Home Bargains. I absolutely love it. But I need balance. So I need to go out, and I like it when the Chanel lipstick arrives as well. Because again, think about it. If you're always shopping in Home Bargains, that's what you think that you are worth. So you are only going to attract more of that. So, but that's my little treat, that. So then you move up to the sacral chakra, which is all about relationships. It's about emotions. It's like your pleasure seeking chakra. And it's obviously the area of creation. And so, it's a really, really important chakra. And if your area is deficient in that energy, in that area, you're not going to be able to create the stuff that you really want. So kind of with that one, I teach people to open the chakra up, maybe by creating a vision board, but then to give it extra energy, instead of just putting pictures that you've cut out on a board, why not paint it or draw it? Add that extra creative energy into it that is come completely from your energy. So then we move up to the solar plexus chakra. This is the one that was the worst for me. I was a people pleaser. I was giving my energy away all the time. I had no healthy boundaries. It always hit me in the stomach, so much to the point where, I skipped a bit of my story when I had to go bankrupt because I was trying to get divorced, and I'd run up solicitors' bills, and it took me 11 years to get divorced. And so I couldn't physically pay the solicitors' bills, so I had to go bankrupt. That was soul destroying, but also an amazing learning curve as well. Again, when you hit rock bottom, you can only come up. So it made me so poorly, it put me in hospital. I was basically vomiting blood. I was in there for 10, 11 days. I was on morphine. I then came out on a load of different, like 9 different medications, just so I could eat and things like that. That's when your solar plexus chakra is really in need of some nourishment and some love. So I have I use melaleuca oil for that, or ginger oil, really great for protecting your energy in that solar plexus area. And once you've got that sealed off and your energy is yours as well, then you can use your energy for manifesting or whatever it is you want to create. There was a tip as well that one of my coaches, Andy, she taught me about a year ago. And that's when you've left your energy out in different places during the day. So let's say you go to the shop and you talk to a shopping assistant, you've left a bit of your energy imprint there, or with your kids or your family, or like there'll be an energy exchange between us now. So we will have an energy, like a cord between us. And what happens is, if you don't cleanse your energy and protect it at the end of the day, that energy is still being passed between us. So Andy says what you have to do is, at the end of the day, you set the intention to release any energy that no longer belongs to you and send it back to source with love. So you say, I unlock it, I unblock it, I release it, and I let it go. And then you call your own energy home as well. So from wherever your energy has been left out in time and space, you call it back home to the time when your soul was first created. And then, so that's your energy is complete, you're whole. Yeah. So you can use your energy for you. When you go to sleep, you've got all your energy for you to regenerate your body. And so you can carry on the next day like afresh. Where was I? Heart chakra. We all know this one. So I'm sure we've all sensed the energy of the heart chakra when we have met somebody, fallen in love at first sight, and you've got all those butterflies and your heart starts pounding. You can literally feel your heart chakra open. And then we experience the heart chakra energy when we've had our heart broken, and you literally feel like your heart's breaking in two. So again, it's coming into the heart, and I like to put my left hand over my heart center and my right hand over my left, and then do a loving kindness meditation. So telling yourself, you know, even if you've had a breakup or something like that, telling yourself how much you love yourself, because you need to fill yourself up before you can allow anybody else to sort of come into your life. Have I got a few minutes just to?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay. So do you listen to Abraham Hicks?
Yeah, absolutely. She's fab. Yeah.
Yeah. So she obviously wrote the book with her husband, Asking It Is Given. And sadly, her husband passed away a few years ago. Now, as part of my cycle, so I've been separated coming up to 14 years now, and pretty much been single for most of that, because I felt like I was in limbo. I wasn't really healing. But, you know, I want a relationship. I really want a relationship, but my energy is not quite attracting really what I want. And then I heard this, Esther was talking, and Jerry had passed away, and somebody said to her, what is the secret of your marriage? Because you were like so together for like 50 odd years. You were so into each other. You worked together. You did everything together. And she said, it's very, very simple. She said, when Jerry and I met each other, she said, we were whole. Each of us separately was whole. And she said, neither of us needed anything from the other person to complete that person. So there was no needy energy whatsoever. They were already happy. They were already content in their own life, you know, and that's where you need to be with the heart chakra energy. So the way that you can do that is to fill yourself up with as much love as possible. So that's what I teach in the heart chakra area. Then we move up to the throat. This is a big one, actually, with my students. So many people don't speak their truth at all. And that has a massive effect on the throat chakra area. So if we just think back to the sacral chakra, which is your area of creativity and creation, the throat chakra is where you manifest that creation into the physical world. So I'll take me as an example. When I was in my marriage, I didn't say what I really felt and thought, in terms of I didn't know who I was, because well, it was just very toxic. Let's just put it that way. I can't even be bothered telling that story anymore. That's where I've healed. Yay. But I didn't know who I was. So it would be like, where do you want to go for dinner tonight? Oh, I don't know. Where do you want to go for dinner? You know, that mixes in with your people pleasing tendencies as well. So, and it got really, really bad, where it's almost like you can't swallow. You're pushing those words down. You're not your true authentic self. I think as spiritual entrepreneurs as well, we really struggle with this, because we get like imposter syndrome and things like that, and we think that we have to talk or act in a certain way. 4 years down the line, I'm definitely a lot more confident than I was 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago, I probably wouldn't have said boo to a goose, and I was like terrified every time I went live, and I was like, oh my God, what if I say something wrong? Or what if I say something that's like not legally true, or something like that, you know, that kind of energy. So you hold yourself back. What I have learned is that you should show up as your true authentic self. It's a bit like Marmite. People will love you, people will hate you. What's the saying I said in my group the other day? I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone last week, and I launched my first ever Black Friday offers. Now, to a spiritual entrepreneur, sales is icky. So when I say I push myself out my comfort zone, I'm telling you, I push myself out my comfort zone. Instead of emailing my database once last week, I emailed them 4 times. 5 people unsubscribed. Okay. And I'm sad that they went, and I blessed and released them with love. But I was proud that I had pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and I'd shown up as my true authentic self. And the quote that came to mind was Adita Von Teese one. And she says, you can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and there'll still be somebody that hates peaches. So show up as your true, authentic self, and you will attract your tribe who are on the same vibe as you. If you're not speaking your truth and you're pretending to be somebody else because you've got imposter syndrome or things like that, you're going to be almost attracting a fake tribe of people. Does that make sense? Fake experiences, fake, whatever it is that, maybe things that will come into your life that almost won't last because you're not a true I can't speak now. I've been talking for an hour. Vibrational match. So then we move up to our third eye chakra. I love this chakra. I'm clairvoyant. So this is where I literally see everything. When I do Reiki, I see stuff. So I see energy. I'm clairsentient as well, so I feel it as well. But I literally see stuff in front of my eyes. This is your imagination. This is to me, it's everything. And this is the one I love working on most. So for me, when I create what it is that I'm asking for, that's when I start to visualize it here. So this is where it's really important for that visualization process. So let's take the example of your perfect day. If I was to ask you, what would your perfect day look like? I want you to close your eyes and think about it within your third eye, which is sort of located within the middle of your two eyebrows, and start from the beginning of the day and think about, watch yourself getting out of bed. Where are you getting out of bed? What does the bed linen feel and look like? What sort of floor are you stepping onto? What sort of building are you in? Where are you? What country? That kind of thing. Take yourself all the way through the day, but run it as like a movie in your mind. So that's why the third eye chakra is really important to me. And then we have the crown chakra, which again is another major important one. So this is all to do with your connection to the divine, but it's also your purpose in life. So this is where we come full circle back to Ikigai, working out what it is that your life's purpose is, and then using all your other chakras in turn to live out that purpose.
That's just beautiful. The whole process is very beautiful. And what's really lovely about it is it really does come full circle. Like you're taking into account every aspect of who we are as a human being and then also a spiritual being. And it's just amazing. It's really, really beautiful. And you can tell as well, look, you're living it, which is really beautiful. So when people are coming to you, what do you find is one area that they specifically get kind of stuck on or blocked on most?
Completely lack of self-worth. I am not enough. And so we do tapping on I am enough. In fact, I'll tell you what, I do teach my students as well, and they always go, oh, like at first they go, you can't say that, and I go, I can. You are the prize. How often do we walk around thinking I'm not good enough, or there's somebody out there better? But you, as you are right now, sat where you are, listening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you are enough and you are the prize. The only in your life. And what anybody else thinks about you doesn't matter at all. There was, I'm full of quotes today. Another quote that I love as well: don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
Yeah, I love that.
Really important.
Yeah.
Start where you are.
So what would your intrepid wisdom be for those who are listening, in terms of everything that we're doing, everything that we're talking about, all these beautiful processes, the different things that they can put into place? There's wisdom that kind of traverses across the generations from years ago till now, and this is kind of what's filtering through. So what is it that you would like to pass on? What would your intrepid wisdom be?
So for me, it would be to get really conscious and create what it is that you want to experience in life. So for me, I do that through creating a blueprint with the chakras. For you, you do it with your astrological charts, which is something I love, but I'm not going to tell you I know anything about it at all. I wouldn't even know where to start. But I did think before when we were talking, and I could see how passionate you were. And I thought, I wonder if there's a way of intertwining the chakra blueprint and your astrological blueprint. That might be mind-blowing.
And it does actually, if you look at the different zodiac signs and you look at the different planets and the different energy, like astrology actually weaves in with all of that. It's just, it's amazing. Yeah.
So yeah, just get really clear and then stick to it. You know, as well, as humans, life is never going to be completely balanced, but you can achieve alignment in, you know, and be prepared that some days you're going to have good days, some days you're going to have bad days. That's just part of life. But if you can have the tools at your fingertips to navigate you, like you say, through that map and through that bumpy journey or whatever, and you've got things in your toolkit that you can just pull out as and when you need them, you're going to find life a hell of a lot easier.
And I think that's part of it as well, isn't it? Like there's the polarity, and I'm always saying this as well. You know, you've got the ups and downs, you've got the good and bad, you've got the in and out, and good and bad is not really good and bad. They're just signposts kind of correcting your course back into yourself. And it's really a matter of being mindful about it. Like if you're having a really crap day, ask yourself, what was I manifesting today? Where was my mind at? Where was my own mindset at? What words was I using? What words do I have a habit of using? And you were even saying about your mom and the car, you know, we have a tendency to repeat things that we heard when we were kids, and we probably don't even realize we're repeating it half the time. And that's attracting, you know, that's part of aligning your words and your language with that, what you want to attract as well.
There's a book I'd like to recommend. Am I allowed to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
So another life-changing book for me was Your Word is Your Wand by Frances Scovel Shinn. And it's basically talking about what she teaches you is how to reframe your words and the stories that you tell yourself into the positive, because obviously with the law of attraction, we attract what we, you know, think about. But also, if you imagine when you're verbalizing stuff, you're using your energy of creation to get that sound out of your body as well. Honestly, my daily affirmations come from her books. So she did Your Word is Your Wand. She did The Secret Door to Success. And these the gay something, I can't remember, my mind's gone blank. Life is the game, the rules of life, or something like that. Anyway, it really, really good books. And they will blow your mind, because you just all of a sudden you think, my God, why have I been talking to myself like that all my life, when actually
and actually that's another thing, we have a habit of talking to ourselves, and I've actually had to retrain myself in this, because I have great chats with myself. I'm my own best friend when it comes to having the L chats. But how we speak to ourselves, like when you're having a talk out loud and you're saying, like, the words I am, you're manifesting. When you say I am, like, I am that I am, do you know, like you're manifesting when you say I am. So when you say I am not good enough, or I you know, I don't have that yet, or whatever, the word even I is so powerful. And it's just be really, really aware of how we use that. And I remember seeing not long ago, and I really loved this. Somebody was saying it was to do with language and where language came from, and looking at how language has changed through the years. And actually our language has become very negative over the last couple of whatever centuries. But with that, when we are writing a word down, what are we doing? We're spelling. When you're spelling something, what do witches do? They cast spells. Now, it's not just witches that cast spells, but words are spells. You spell a word. And so when we're doing that, I love the concept of the words that we speak, we're also spelling. And so we're spelling these into reality as well. So there's more manifesting as well. Like, we're manifesting all the time. It's not like we have a switch and we flick it on and off. We just tap into it a little bit more consciously, I think.
You just reminded me actually about the throat chakra. So one of the biggest blocks is a limiting belief that we don't know that we have, but most people were grown up with. Children should be seen and not heard. So you come into this sort of online arena now where we have to show up. I'm not going to lie, I've got my pajama bottoms on. I've got this pretty top on, but I've got my pajama bottoms on.
For people who are listening to the podcast, you have to check the video out, because you look amazing. And I love the fact that there's a pair of PJs underneath that. Lovely.
But you know, like, it's when you start doing this, there's this massive fear that comes up, like, oh, you know, and you don't know where it comes from, but part of it is you were always told to be seen and not heard. So like before, when we started this conversation, both our voices were going, weren't we? That's that energy. That's that energy.
It's fab. How can people get in contact with you if they want to work directly with you, if they want to check out your website, your courses, contact you? What's the best way for people to connect?
So you can find me always on social media, obviously doing really proactive work and not scrolling for hours. On both Facebook and Instagram, I'm Penelope Silver UK. My website is www.penelopesilver.co.uk. And I will put in here, I've got a free guide to the 7 steps to manifesting. So that's for your listeners. So I hope you enjoy that. And also I have 2 courses. So the 21-day manifestation challenge. So that's a mixture of meditations, EFT, workbooks, quotes, and journaling prompts. And then I have another one called the Ultimate Mega Manifesting Toolkit, which has literally got everything you could possibly want in there. There's like stories, there's manifesting techniques, I go live in there once a month teaching about manifesting and things. So yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, I'll put links to the freebies in the box below as well. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been so lovely to connect and to chat with you. I feel really inspired by all that you're doing. I think you'll inspire loads of people today. And as before, when we were having a chat as well, I was saying, you know, there's a lot of stories about kind of rags to riches, but it's really actually quite lovely to hear the story of riches to rags to riches again as well, because, you know, there's other people in that situation. And as we were saying, with the way the world is at the moment, there's a lot of people going through that, but I think you'll inspire everybody on so many different levels as well. So thank you for coming on to share your wisdom.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful.
So for those of you who are listening to the podcast or watching the video on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment and share to let me know that you care. To stay up to date, hit the subscribe button and bell to receive notifications. For podcast links and free gifts, check out intrepidwisdom.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram and also YouTube. And if you want to get in touch, you can now email on intrepidwisdompodcast@gmail.com. And in the meantime, stay curious. Thanks for listening.